You're all here for the property sale? Oh, wrong meeting, apparently. I'd like to welcome you to our committee meetings. What I think we're gonna do is I have a group here from Catskill who's doing the spring rush. Let's, if you're good, we'll get you up and get your presentation in on the board committee meetings. And I'll file that with solid state.
Good evening, and thank you for letting us speak tonight. My name is Wesley Cuckoo, and I am a student from the Catskill High School Business Club. We're here to present our 17th annual Catskill Spring Rush Triathlon and Sprint 5K. Taking place on May 31st, 2025, this event is entirely student run. And we're excited to continue this long-standing tradition that brings together athletes, families, and the community. We appreciate your time and support as we share our plans tonight.
My name is Colin Shook. The Spring Rush Triathlon consists of a 5K run, a 15K bike ride, and a kayak race on Catskill Creek. We also offer the Sprint 5K, which features just the run portion for those who prefer a shorter event. Both races start and finish at Catskill Middle School, creating a fun atmosphere for all participants. This year's event is especially meaningful as we are dedicating it to Mrs. Schindler, a beloved Catskill teacher who also battled with breast cancer. In her memory, a portion of our proceeds will be donated to the Greene County Women's League to support local families affected by cancer. Participants will be racing for a reason in her honor. As part of this year's Catskill Spring Rush and Sprint 5K, we're raffling off an electric bike provided by Catskill Bike Supply. Tickets are $10 each or $5 for $40, with proceeds supporting the Greene County Women's League and our annual NYC business trip. This trip gives students the chance to visit News Corp, meet Fox President Neil Cavuto, tour the production facility, and explore an international bank. A great experience for us students. The raffle winner will be drawn on race day, so don't miss your chance to win while supporting these great causes.
Good evening. My name is Ron Quick. Spring Rush is more than just a race. It's a community event. We rely on local businesses and organizations to help make it a success. We've reached out to sponsors and are offering different sponsorship levels with opportunities for businesses to have their name on race shirts, banners, and promotional materials. Additionally, businesses can contribute promotional items to be distributed. We've already sent sponsorship information via email. We will follow up in person. If any board members or businesses you know would like to get involved, we love to connect and discuss opportunities.
Hi, my name is Leora White. Safety is our top priority. Our race course will be monitored by student volunteers, teachers, staff, and community members, along with police, fire, EMS, and public works personnel. We will ensure a safe and well-organized event. A safety planning meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 28th at 2:30 p.m. in the CHS library, where all involved agencies are invited to review final details. We appreciate the support of our local officials and first responders in making sure the event runs smoothly. We're asking for the village's support in a few ways. Approval to use town and village streets and public spaces for race day. Coordination with local police and public works for safety and logistics. And help spreading the word about the event to encourage participation and sponsorship. We hope you'll join us on race day either as a participant, volunteer, or supporter. Thank you for your time and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
You're 17, sir? One of us. I think so, yeah. 17 spring rush, yeah. Pretty impressive.
All right, well, I'm probably gonna come around. I'm gonna give everyone a safety packet and a brochure, so I guess that should be it. No last questions?
I think Legislator Martinez said he was gonna volunteer for the triathlon. That's your first one.
Charlie, I'll be your team.
Senior division.
It's a senior division.
Exciting event.
Have that. We should do a legislative.
We definitely want to help you out as well, so I know that, I believe our tourism office, are they doing something for you? Or Patty? So are we going to promote this through our social media?
Yes, so the business club has been tasked with putting their event on our website. You're allowed to put your own event on our website. A good business skill to learn. You're probably really good on the website. And then we will promote it throughout our social channels. There you go. And I will also be distributing any kind of brochure or anything throughout Greene County when we distribute our new travel guide and all of our collateral, as well as any other businesses' collateral. That's a courtesy that we do out of our office.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank the legislature. You guys have been massively supportive. We feel very welcome coming into your chamber and sharing our race every year. You guys have always been financially supportive, but even more so bringing our assemblymen. We had John Faso, Chris Tagg come with our legislators, and we really appreciate the support, not only financially, but visually as well in our race every year. So thank you so much.
We'll be there. Thank you. Thank you for doing it.
Thanks, guys.
I got one. Charlie said he's going into training.
Starting tonight.
Put that in the minutes.
Walking down.
Put that in the minutes, please.
Yeah, right.
He's gonna be going up and down the stairs in the county building.
Well, at least down.
Preferably. I know.
We don't wait, you guys to go around if you don't need your, your government class credits.
We're making another presentation tonight.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yep.
The interest of not, leaving 50 people in this room for an extended period of time. We'll switch up our committee meetings a little bit tonight and move forward first with the Public Safety Committee. You're in? Jim, any time?
Okay, call Public Safety Committee to order at 6:10. And we'll start with the sheriff with the monthly report.
Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So for the month of February, we had 43 civil attempts, 16 civil papers served, issued 121 traffic tickets, investigated 20 traffic accidents, made 32 arrests and 1 DWI arrest. We handled 397 calls for service and made 264 traffic stops. On February 1st, 25, the starting jail population was 39. As of February 30th, it was 35, the high for the month being 39. Corrections officers did 26 transports, traveling 701 miles, totaling 64 hours, moving 28 inmates. We have 1 state-ready inmate in our custody. Our fire investigation team is handling the investigation into the cause and origin of the fire that occurred on Main Street in Catskill that resulted in 1 occupant being killed in the fire. The one resolution on the agenda tonight involving the HALT Act affects both state and county jails and severely impacts the safety within those facilities. The strikes that the state COs are participating in have nothing to do with money. It's all about, and strictly about the safety of those officers and the inmates who are not breaking the rules and assaulting other inmates. When the bad actors know that there are almost no consequences for their actions, what's the deterrent? Thank you all for coming to support this. Lastly, I want to thank all of you for your attendance at the memorial services of our under sheriff. It was a very fitting tribute. Myself, Mike's family, and our employees are very grateful for your support. Thank you. Question?
How's the, cars are coming in? To be ordered? They're all in. Very good. It's a little better.
Yes.
Damage free.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Director Farrell.
Commissioner Farrell. Harry Farrell.
Yeah.
Jay.
Good evening, all. First, I just want to remind all the legislators next Wednesday night, 5 o'clock, be passing out the certificates to all the 49 firefighters that responded mutually to Orange and Ulster during the forest fire. February's numbers, EMS calls 648, fire calls 138, police calls 1,273, unknown 529, for a total of calls of 2,588. The 911 admin, the 911 calls came to 3,601. Mutual aid for EMS, 91, and fire, 2. No calls for hazmat this past month. I also just want to let you be aware that the technical rescue team that's right now being run by Tannersville, Haynes Falls, Palmville, and Cedar Grove. I have a meeting with them tomorrow. There's other firefighters throughout the county that want to join that team. I'll be sitting down with them to discuss the opportunity before you next month, possibly making that a county team. On the agenda this evening is the reappointing of all the members of the Greene County Hazmat Team for 2025. We normally do this just to update county. On other topics, the burn building, tomorrow morning, company came this morning and they'll have it all finished up with all the repairs and so forth tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll do an inspection on it. Cascade system will be delivered in 4 weeks. And since spring is right around the corner, I'm working with the DEC officers to schedule 2 courses of the basic wildland fire suppression, one for the valley and one for the mountaintop. We've already had a couple of brush fires already, and with anticipation that with the weather, I'm sure we'll have a few this summer, and we certainly want to make sure that all the companies get this training. And the last thing I just want to say, last Monday night we started our FIFO class up in Ashland, with full class, and if that ends up working out well, we'll continue to have some continual firematic training up on the mountaintop. That's it. Any questions?
John, Cascade system, is that gonna be right in our garage?
Yes, it'll be in the 7-bay garage.
7-bay garage?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're all set.
And then the departments come?
Yep.
And they fill up and they,
Like we usually do, I have one fire deputy that's in charge of that, and he makes the appointment.
okay.
So forth.
I'm sure we'll get the word out to all the departments. I'm sure they know by now anyway, but.
And as you all know, they had another busy month on the fire side of it. Won't get into any details, but can't say enough for EMS, fire, of all the teamwork that we've had this past month. It's been just tremendous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
And just a reminder too, next Wednesday after that presentation, is our EMS meeting.
Next up, Andy Lashua, retired sergeant from the correction office.
Thank you for having us here tonight. We appreciate you allowing us to be a part of your meeting. Just the heads up, public speaking and prison guards sometimes don't mix. So bear with me. Good evening. My name is Andy Lashua. I'm a retired sergeant for the New York State Department of Corrections. The HALT Act has created policies that weaken the infrastructure of correctional facilities in New York State to the point where the systems and controls that protected everyone behind the walls for decades are no longer a deterrent. Special housing units are for inmates who seriously violate the rules or laws inside prison. Privileges are taken away, rules are more strict, and life is more regimented to protect staff and other inmates. It is not solitary confinement. These SHUs are not dungeons. They are well-kept, modern facilities that provide inmates with every necessary service practically 24 hours a day. HALT inmates are mandated to spend a large portion of the day outside of their SHU cell. This in turn requires extra security staff. Due to HALT staffing mandates, jails are required to staff HALT program security posts before general population programs, thus making it more difficult for good inmates to complete their required programming for early release and educational improvement. Jails are already at 70% staffing. It now requires 3 times the number of officers to operate an SHU. But no extra manpower was authorized to cover it. That 70% is now saved 60%. Now divide that into 3 shifts. Take away regular days off, vacations, sick leave, on-the-job injuries, training days, detached service, military service, inmate transportation details, and so on. Now, you're at around 45 or 50%. So these officers are expected to make it work with half of the workforce required for safe operations. New York State prisons do provide anti-violence and drug alcohol abuse programs, but due to HALT Act guidelines for pre-hearing confinement and practically no anti-drug policies that deter possession or use, violence and drug abuse in our facilities are at epic levels. Deadly fentanyl exposure is the newest threat to officers' lives. Stats don't lie. Officers have it really bad. And good inmates have it even worse. In 2018, more relaxed disciplinary guidelines were introduced in preparation for HALT's full implementation in 2022. That year, there were 813 inmate on staff assaults, 985 inmate on inmate assaults. I want you to wrap your head around those numbers for a minute. In 2024, there were almost 2,100 inmate on staff assaults. That's around 6 every day for 365 days. I'm just gonna go off script for a minute. Anybody that supports the HALT Act, I really want them to come here and look these guys in the eyes and tell them that it's okay, that they can be one of the 6 today. Because there's gonna be 6 more tomorrow and 6 more the day after that. And it's not gonna stop. There were over 2,900 inmate on inmate assaults. That's around 8 every day for 365 days. That's 8 every day for 365 days. That is also undeniably unacceptable. In 2018, the statewide prison population was around 55,000. In 2024, it was around 33,000. Violence in New York State prisons has tripled, with over 20,000 less inmates. Statewide security staffing levels are unsustainable. The common denominator is the HALT Act. Nobody inside a prison anywhere deserves conditions like that. Thank you to the Greene County Legislature for this resolution and for your efforts to make our prisons safer for everyone.
Into our proposed action items, a resolution calling for the repeal of New York State Humane Alternatives to Long-Term Solitary Confinement Act.
Handle.
Ludo, Handle?
Davis.
Martinez. Rivera.
True.
Lennon.
Committee.
Full committee?
Committee first.
Yeah.
Committee first.
Jim, just a comment on this. Is there anybody in this room that didn't get phone calls from somebody in this county about this issue?
I didn't get any,
I didn't get a call.
but I think everybody here knows how I feel.
Yeah, we're sitting as a county with 2 state prisons. And this issue has gone out to our communities. It's in families. It boils down to the kids that don't get to see their parents. And I think it was important for us to move on this. We all see the news, we see what's going on with this, and I don't think that the decisions that are being made right now are in the best interests of the people who live in our county and work in our state prisons. I think there's some poor decisions being made. What I didn't want to do was get involved with union negotiations, with all the ancillary things that go around that we don't belong in as a county legislature. What we could do is exactly what we're doing. We're speaking out against an act that has caused many of these issues, a single thing that's done by the state legislature. We're calling for the repeal, full repeal of that act. You know, that being said, it doesn't happen because we ask for it. It's something that we send up to our state lawmakers, but it's a start, and I hope everybody sees that. That we will move forward, and the state legislature will also see it.
Well, with this resolution, it's saying that we strongly are against this HALT Act and we want it repealed. We want it to go to our state representatives and we want a response from the governor herself. Period.
Unanimous. Yeah. Yeah, you know. Moving on to the second one.
And then all those in favor? Everybody seconded it.
Even though everybody seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number two, amending resolution number 488-24. Appointing members to the Greene County Fire Advisory Board. Lennon Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number three, appointing members to Greene County Hazmat Team for 2025.
Handle.
Lennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number four, appointing members to the Greene County Traffic Safety Board.
Rivera?
Handle, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number five, budget amendment, insurance recovery, Greene County Sheriff. Martinez and Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. The motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Lennon and Rivera. Opposed?
Folks, what we will do, fire this resolution fully extended to all work, which will be for scheduled special meeting of the full board, which will happen right when, as soon as Annie's ready. We'll move into that special meeting for the Public Safety Committee. We'll be able to improve this resolution forward, and then we'll get into the other two committees for that. Good. Right into the Call special legislature meeting number 2 for the year 2025 to order and ask everyone to please rise for a moment of silent prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Legislators are present with the exception of legislative women.
Item on the agenda tonight, and will be the only item that we're dealing with, is a special meeting. And we move right into that resolution.
Resolution number 86-25, resolution calling for repeal of the New York State Humane Alternatives to Long-Term Solitary Confinement Act, HALT Act. Offered by Legislator Ludo, second by Legislator Davis, Handle, Lennon, Rivera, Martinez, Thornton, and Chairman Linger.
Any other seconds?
O'Connell?
And Lucas?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Okay, that's it for the special meeting. This meeting is adjourned. We will move back to committee meeting.
Okay, we're going to open up Health Services Committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. Before we get into the resolutions, we have Jennifer here. She's from the Tobacco Free Action Communities in Columbia and Greene to give a brief update regarding tobacco vaping issues and food. Started with demo. That's going.
We should make it like this. Yeah. You got a share? We can make copies.
Committee members and attendees, my name is Jen Riley Luma, and I am the lead community engagement coordinator for the New York State Tobacco Free Program in Columbia and Greene counties. And I'm grateful. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I am here to give the county legislature a broad overview on our progress with both counties in discussing the Juul settlement. And I thought it would also be a good opportunity to reintroduce myself in the program as a continued resource that's available to support you as elected officials and the community. I'm a former university educator that has been thrilled to join our New York State Tobacco Free Program in Columbia and Greene counties the past year and a half. And I want to start by thanking you for all the work that you've done alongside our program, including Greene County's tobacco free policy in 2015, and also doing that work alongside our late program director, Karen DeMeister, who was a stalwart of tobacco issues, tobacco-related community health issues. So just to recap about TFAC, formerly Tobacco Free Action, the New York State Tobacco Control Program in Columbia and Greene is one of 21 community partnerships across New York State that is dedicated to making our community a healthier place to live, work, and play. That's been our motto, to live, work, and play. And we're excitingly approaching our 25th anniversary, as we've been funded through a grant from the New York State Department of Health under the Bureau of Tobacco Control since 2000. And our goal is continuously the same, which is to educate the community, engage, mobilize youth, parents, and decision makers across our growing initiatives, which are currently still tobacco retail marketing, smoke-free housing, tobacco-free workplaces, and tobacco-free parks and municipalities, as you're a part of. So I've distributed a handout that you can perhaps share, but this is TFAC Columbia Greene's proposal on implementing the dual settlement objectives, and it contains a basic explanation of the settlement and approved uses under Attorney General Legislature James. As you're probably familiar with, Greene County is receiving almost $300,000 from the dual settlement, which spans across 3 years. Both health departments have directly requested funding for this, and as a named resource by Legislature James, Columbia Greene's tobacco-free program is sharing suggestions and perspectives that we're in conversation about. Just a caveat is that locally, our program will not be receiving the funds, but we are here simply as a resource to offer knowledge and community, our experience in community work around vaping as the issue. So an update about the attendees. We've been meeting regularly with Greene County Public Health, Columbia County DOH, and a few other community partners, including Columbia Greene Addiction Coalition, Twin County Recovery Services, and MHA Youth Clubhouse. And now BOCES is a part of this discussion as well. We're essentially in the strategizing phase. Our progress has been really discussing and getting different perspectives around how to use the funds. They've been requested by departments of health but have not yet arrived. And our, I think, shared goal is really building a sustainable, multi-pronged approach. As we know, these temporary grants, it's often important to have a sustainable approach. So that approach really goes across a few different areas, which is the hope is policymaking, health services, and new approaches to community education. One of our program initiatives has continued to be the retail environment. And as we know, where you shop and where you walk going to school has an impact just as much as the food we eat and the environment around us. And county health departments already have long time been supporting environmental data collection, but we also publish local observations every few years on tobacco retail marketing, along with density and proximity. We've been sharing these results most recently with the City of Hudson's Company Council, where there are currently a quarter of tobacco shops within 1,500 feet of a school, and that's any school. And we've been also sharing with them the benefits of a proximity or a density policy. In the area of health services, the New York State Tobacco Program in Greene County, I just wanted to share, provides resources on vaping to medical providers. Currently through our grant partner, which is New York State Health Systems, through St. Peter's Hospital. They also support medical providers in how to discuss vaping with their patients. And we're really interested in the aspect of education in schools of providing promoting and sharing a model policy to schools in both counties that could be focused on a restorative approach rather than suspensions, in addition to a vaping curriculum. So the vaping curriculum that we've identified is Catch My Breath, which is evidence-based and seems to fall into New York State curriculum standards. And we would hope that these could be provided by outside educators to supplement in-school curriculums. Just a few more points. Messaging was one of the areas of our multiple approach to using the settlement. And there was a wide interest in a couple of our coalition meetings in developing locally targeted messaging to specifically that reaches teens. Our program is currently running TV ads and social media ads called Nicotine Equals. And perhaps you've seen some of those as well from the New York State Quit Line. And we may need some smaller channels as well through locally retained media. And finally, we really support the idea of opening this up as a discussion to the community. Community engagement is what we do, and holding roundtable discussions with not only youth, but also parents and educators sitting around together and possibly inviting them to attend more localized coalition meetings once we get through our strategy is also something that has been of strong voice. CCDOH has done a survey on vaping at the college in addition to listening sessions at MHA Clubhouse in Hudson, and there seems to be an interest from youth in education on quitting vaping. So finally, what other counties are doing? These coalitions I just wanted to share are also occurring in Ulster, Dutchess, and Sullivan counties through our sister program across the New York State Tobacco Program. Some, like in Dutchess, are happening under county executives. And I just wanted to attend tonight to offer myself as a resource and offer our knowledge and community work around vaping, and would especially welcome your thoughts and concerns about what you're seeing happening at the county level, and hope we can partner around those shared priorities. So thank you. I can take perhaps questions, try to answer them.
Sure. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to Juul or the vaping, you guys keep track of what is being vaped the most? Is it nicotine? Is it TCH or whatever, marijuana or other things?
Yeah, so under our New York State Tobacco Control Program, we mostly focus on tobacco in the form of vaping nicotine. We understand that there is sometimes our work intersects with vaping of cannabis products. However, the Office of Cannabis Management is primarily the ones that oversee that. So in our program, we're not supposed to necessarily talk about cannabis, although we acknowledge that it is happening in tandem. And so when we assist municipalities with, for example, counties, and say you want to have a smoke-free park, we can provide signage that has a cannabis symbol. And some of the research coming out through the Department of Health is showing that there is a crossover with youth that are vaping those products and perhaps getting them from, older families, family members, et cetera. So.
I know a while ago, we had Assemblyman Chris Tague did a press conference with Karen, and I believe Karen came and presented to us about some of these like vapes being highlighters and hoodies and things like that, you don't even recognize that the kids are doing it. So is the coalition doing any type of outreach to parents, first of all, on that? That the vaping can be in regular products. It doesn't look like a vape or whatever. It looks like a highlighter. And then second of all, is the coalition going to do any outreach into the schools to explain to the students how harmful vaping really is?
Absolutely, those are great questions. So number one, the changing, I think, appearance of the products is one of the most challenging for not only, as you know, FDA and enforcers of the products, but in schools, teachers really have their arms full of it, don't they? Because it's not something that is easy to enforce. So we acknowledge that, and I think our program is here to support with education. We have been a part of, for years, assemblies and education in the schools. I think really first on the ground has been our health departments doing in-class education, but we've been in assemblies and we've done community education on products, certainly types of products for vaping. But I do think one of the scariest thing on that point, and I'll close, is just the concentration, no matter the appearance, no matter the secrecy, or whether you wear it as a accessory, to match your sneakers, the concentration of nicotine is about, in some of these products, 5 times as high as a traditional cigarette. So we're dealing with that, certainly health concern from a scary point. The second point you had was, can you repeat that, working?
Just working with the schools to educate the students, to let them know how dangerous it is, because a lot of these vapes are bubblegum flavor or watermelon flavor, and they don't think anything of it.
Yeah, so one of our community education has been through our youth program, our reality check. We have gone into schools and discussed basically identifying the products, defining nicotine to youth, and also talking about the mental health overlap as we're at a developing age for teenagers. So I think that, youth and others are not so keen to listen to, this is bad for your health, but I think people are interested in other angles like mental health? Are you experiencing anxiety? We talk about marketing as something that youth are particularly,
But getting
looking for
some,
receptors out.
right, marketing on Snapchat, Instagram, what all these kids are,
Do you have any canned
right,
TikToks, videos that we can put on our website to educate parents?
Right.
As much, what should they be looking for? Here's the latest product, you wouldn't know this was a vape, you think it's a highlighter,
right, like
it's in the
paid,
book bag.
almost paid ads. If we're getting this settlement money, put paid ads out there on these social media apps that these teens are using.
Certainly, we would welcome your feedback about that. I think that's a great point, is that the traditional retail space, not only brick and mortar, but we see influencers, right, on TikTok that are influencing kids to buy and purchase even online in some cases. So, great discussion, great point. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We might have to bring it back, yeah. John Groden will be on again. He made one guess.
Thank you, Jen. We're back.
Yes.
Next week.
I might have to go on YouTube tonight and watch that one.
Right now. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you.
On authorizing agreement, with Greene County Community Services Board and Cambridge Brain Sciences Inc. and budget amendment.
Davis.
Davis.
Arnold.
O'Connell. Anybody want to ask Jason any questions about this, or are we all good?
It's okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Authorizing agreement, Greene County Mental Health and Coordinated Care Services Inc. Randolph? Finger? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Approving related service provider contract preschool special education program.
Davis.
Davis?
O'Connell.
O'Connell, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Authorizing agreement, Greene County Public Health and Grand Canyon University.
Davis.
Davis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Authorizing out-of-state travel, Laura Churchill and Wendy Johnson, Greene County Family Planning.
True.
Drew, Handle, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Is there anything else to come before health services? I do. Want to see if you're on
But yeah.
it. Appointing member, Community Services Board.
Vera.
O'Connell.
Vera and O'Connell, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Davis?
A special thanks to Laura for her presentation.
Yeah, that was
Taking
excellent
us on a tour of the office. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, Tammy. I'd like to call county resources to order at 6:47 this evening. We have a few resolutions to go tonight, but before we do that, we've got our county historian, Jonathan Palmer, here. Give us a brief update on our 250th celebration.
Speaking in this time. All right, I'll try speaking up a little louder. Is that okay? All right, that's much better. Yeah, well, I was really excited. I thought everybody was here for me and my and everything, but,
I'm gonna be on camera,
I know.
You are on camera.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. I start fixing my hair. So, I don't know if everybody's got on their iPads, there's a draft resolution creating a Greene County 250th commission. This was a resolution that was drafted a couple years ago that and it just slipped through the cracks because things were too up in the air to really land on a particular solution for what we needed to do as a county going forward. The long and short of it is that since 2022, when I started talking about this, it's become plainly clear that there is no state money, there's no federal money, there's no reason to have a commission to make us eligible for state funds because there are none to be distributed to the counties. It's all very disappointing. And the long and short of it is that if we're going to create a commission, it's going to be something that stems from us and is directly for us, and any funds that are distributed would have to be the county's funds set aside specifically for any initiatives. This resolution, I don't know if you all had a chance to look through it. The last thing I want this resolution to do is volunteer anyone into being on a committee that they don't want to be on. You know, I think it includes, you know, Sean and I would be on it, Patty as well, Tyler Lynch from Veteran Services. I think the chair of the legislature is listed as being a member. This is something that I had drafted with a different objective in mind, and if you all look at it and think there are important changes that should be made, they should be made. I'm not married to any particular final objective, you know, as far as what the resolution says. As for what we're planning on doing, so Sean had called a meeting with Patty and I 2 Fridays ago, and we had sat and discussed because Sean and myself, you know, were very interested in kicking off the 250th celebrations this year. 250th for us in Greene County begins in May of this year, begins with the anniversary of the signing of the Coxsackie Articles of Association. And I know Sean is very keen to make sure that we're commemorating the events that lead up to July 4th, 2026. I'm also very interested in seeing commemorations happen beyond that date because very important things happen here beyond 2026. I've made a joke in passing with people that the worst thing that can happen is that the 250th celebrations here end up being about as exciting as the ones that happened in 1926 for the 150th. You know, the bar's pretty low.
Charlie, were you there?
Was there?
That won't come up. I wouldn't even say that. No, but, you know, it is though particularly difficult for those of us that have very fond memories of bicentennial. I think there's a little bit of pressure for those of us who remember the bicentennial to make this something that reflects what the bicentennial was. And I'll just say it as a cautionary statement that, you know, the groundswell of public support that existed in advance of the bicentennial and the top-down availability of funding and large statewide and national programming. It was a very, very different animal then, for many, many reasons. So in light of that, you know, if we decide to create this commission, I'd like it to be something that's relatively nimble because we're going to have to start jumping on these things very soon. I know we're coming up on the anniversary of Lexington and Concord next month. So creating this commission, paneling them, and then having some sort of dedication event in April that creates or reveals to the public this commission and some of its stated objectives going forward. We have about a month here where we can kind of make a little flash in the pan to get this on people's radar and get the ball rolling. My wish list, and you know, this is where I start talking dollar amounts. I'm very, you know, as a historian, I'm very interested in seeing tangible, long-term deliverables come from a commission. To that end, the thing that I have been really keen on, and I'm still keen on, is the creation of 14 custom historic markers that commemorate each township in the county with a custom Greene County 250th logo. It would give the opportunity for a pre-baked commemorative event where a dedication is held. These are markers that would be funded and commissioned this year, delivered next year, and over the course of the summer of 2026, put in place in all 14 townships in the county with corresponding commemorative events. This would be opportunities to give local community stakeholders chances to present, to be present, to have a photo op. It would give legislators a chance to, you know, present something back to, you know, the districts. Not that you guys aren't doing that all the time, but you know, this is something that's durable and lasting, that's gonna, you know, we're talking something that we're expecting to see 100 years from now, sitting on the side of the road still in front of the town hall or something like that. Additionally, discussion has been had of creating a small program with the school that I think Sean is very keen on, and I really like the idea of having a time capsule placed by regional school districts in the new Justice Center building. So we've kind of got a confluence of multiple things happening that are going to result in a really great opportunity to have local schools participate, get students thinking about the idea of history, the idea of creating something that's durable beyond their lifetimes. And it gives, you know, everybody who's going to be around for the 350th maybe a cool opportunity to open up something from the 250th, because I'm sure the Justice Center will be there at that point. You know, I've watched it go up and it seems pretty durable. So
We don't know that yet.
everything I'm saying here, is anybody looking at me kind of cross-eyed and wondering, you know?
Love your enthusiasm.
I think the markers are a great idea.
I like the idea of something pins, and I don't mean to ambush, you know, this, you know, Sean and Patty and I are all constantly talking about this. And there's many forms of commemoration that can be, you know, acted on once the commission is formed. The long and short of it is, if we decide the resolution is satisfactory, we create it, we schedule 1 or 2 meetings just to get everybody together in the room and get the game plan together. The next step would be the really time-sensitive ones, are making sure that we get all this organized in advance of the April commemoration of Lexington and Concord, and probably have something in place so that the committee can be present for the Articles of Association anniversary at the Bronx House in May, which will be on May 17th. Which I actually have separate obligations that day because Rob Handel is having a 1-year anniversary wedding celebration for Agco that night. So, you know, it's going to be a busy day, but we can get these 2 things going. The price tag for the historic markers, just so everybody knows what the number is, we're looking at about $35,000 right now. And because we're commissioning these privately outside of the normal grant cycle that we receive something like this through like the Pomeroy Foundation, we can really act on it at any time. If funds are available, we can jump right on this, you know, send the check to whatever casting group we decide wants to make the signs for us.
Question, have you worked with any of your local historical societies, like, for example, Carroll Historical Society? Have you worked with them on this?
You know, I haven't, you know, Sylvia and I speak all the time, and, you know, this is another thing that I had thought about, and I was reminded of it. Actually, today I got an email from the Columbia County Historical Society that they are going to be administering a re-grant program through the county government in Columbia, which would make funds available specifically for heritage and history organizations. I see that as being an extremely important opportunity. If everybody thinks that would be a cool project to take on, I think a re-grant group, you know, if the commission itself becomes a re-granting agency, or if we designate the Greene County Historical Society as a re-granting agency to make funds available, any amount.
But I mean, the resources in these local, I know how many towns have them. I know Carroll has a very good one.
Carroll has
And the resources are there to help.
That's through the Pomeroy though.
What's that?
The signs you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about this whole celebration.
The signs can be done through the Pomeroy
No, I'm not-
Foundation, but
yeah.
yeah.
I'm not talking about the signs. I'm talking about the whole celebration.
Yeah.
Are you utilizing some of these resources that we have,
Well, I mean,
perhaps?
let me put it to you this way. I don't want to issue directives to places like the Carroll Historical Society. And that's because, you know, first off, right now, they're in their phase of getting their programming cemented for the rest of this year. It's just kind of how it works with these historical societies. Mount Top Historical Society, Pratt Museum, you know, in December and January is when all the emails start going out soliciting speakers for the coming year. And they're all hands on deck with that planning. Carroll Historical Society especially, the extremely robust programming schedule that they run every year, and it's really through a handful of people that are close, you know, and work in Sylvia Hassenkoff's circle.
the work they've done to create their, new headquarters, get their headquarters funded and organized.
Military banners.
Yeah, the banners.
No, I was just asking a question about
No,
resources. I'm not asking you to, you know, get them involved. Like, if you had a question or if they could come to the table,
Yeah.
they would probably help. That's all.
So the commission does tap the two major historical societies in the county. It taps the Greene County Historical Society and the Mountaintop Historical Society, which, you know, for better or worse, represent the two halves of the county. We don't have, like, for example, the Lexington Historical Society, the Wyndham Historical Society, the Greenville Local History Group. You know, Sylvia's busy with the Carroll Historical Society. I haven't gone to them individually because I don't want the commission right out of the gate to be too top heavy. You have this many people at the table, no meeting is gonna get over within 3.5 hours. But the re-grant program that I'm talking about, I think presents us an opportunity to have these groups, you know, receive funds that would require them to report back the types of initiatives that are being funded by those re-grants directly through, and I'm gonna throw Patty under the bus here, like a report that goes back to tourism that allows us as the county to celebrate with a post, promote these things, you know, have a press release sent to us that talks about what these initiatives are that these local groups are creating and doing already, because they're planning on this stuff on their own right now. You know, this is a way for us to kind of streamline and create a channel through which they get a broader distribution than they might not otherwise. I don't want to create work for them. I want us to facilitate the work they're already doing. I think that's the best way to describe it.
I think what Harry needs is, like, you can get a lot of information, historical facts.
I would want to.
From these, like, the Tory Swamp up in the town of Hartford.
Right.
You know, that's what I think he's trying to say, more or less just to make it more interesting, because they know things about their area that might facilitate the celebration.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, and
No, I mean, I think when you roll this thing out, I think they would want to be part of it. That's all I'm saying. That's right in their, I mean, they're historic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do.
Let them say, we're busy, or I'm a member, or whatever, they can't do it right then.
I mean, exactly. This is what they do.
Yeah.
They do a good job at it, and I think they would want to be part of it. That's all I'm saying.
No, I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on.
Thank you.
And, you know, it needs to be said also.
Thank you.
It needs to be said, it needs to be brought up, and I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Thank you.
I also didn't mean to jump on you about it.
No, thank you. I just wanted you to understand what I was trying to say. That's all.
I'm a former historical society employee, and I'm always worried about volunteering somebody into doing something else.
Right.
But, you know, these groups are really, really outstanding.
All volunteer.
Yeah, and
It's amazing the work they do. It really is. I So mean, Jonathan, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you feel strongly about these plaques, you know, maybe coming back to us, getting the figures and then getting a resolution so we can get this done sooner than later.
so I can have that information ready next week. I can get the updated quotes from Catskill Castings and Siwa Studios in Ohio, which I think are the two entities that can do these kinds of custom things.
Is this, are you thinking like a bronze star or something type of setup that would be set?
These would look like the New York State roadside markers, but but we'd have the opportunity, instead of little New York State, we'd have the county logo, we'd have the seal on it. And it would say Greene County 250th Commission at the bottom instead of Pomeroy Foundation or New York State Education Department. These would be ours, they'd be custom painted, you know, like a cream and green color, something like that stands out and sets them apart.
So all 14 would be the same.
We could do all 14 the same. I'd like to write custom ones for each of the townships that just acknowledges, you know, the incorporation date, the date of settlement, and maybe salient detail about the history of the community.
Maybe something, if there was something historical that happened in the Revolutionary period, put that on that plaque as well.
Yeah. And you know, this gets us back to, you know, with the 250th Commission. We're gonna talk about the Revolution. But the scope of the 250th and what people are really talking about, celebrates the idea of revolution and democracy as an ongoing experiment as well. So that gives us a lot of leeway when we talk about Prattsville, for example. Prattsville has a purported skirmish during the revolution that occurs on the very edge of the township. But more importantly, it's the site of some of the most important innovation in heavy industry in the county in the 1830s and 40s. And that's a revolution in and of itself that we get to celebrate and talk about. And it's perfectly within the programming scope of this.
Now, I remember when they had the 400th anniversary for Henry Hudson, each school got like a flag or some type of marker. Is that something that we could put together to get to the schools to say that we're spending the next several years with this commission, you know, and get the same thing into each school, so then schools take an active part in this as well?
Yeah, you know, Patty would like flags. We were thinking about, you know, is this an opportunity to put up a banner commemorating Nathaniel Greene at like entrances, you know, or, you know, the roads that pass into the county. The same way it's like a hometown heroes banner kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, the hometown,
Nathaniel Greene is what we're named after.
right? The hometown hero banners. And I'm only speaking for Carroll. There's a number of them, Revolutionary War heroes. I mean, quite a few.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this could be all figured in, Revolutionary War celebration, you know, the names on the banners, and what, you know, what they did, and all that information is there. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. You know,
It's a great tourism button.
well, I know,
Picture on the back.
it's a really, you know, the county is endowed with so many amazing superlatives that we get to market and we get to talk about as an interpretive angle. I mean, it really, the list goes on and on.
Right.
And if this is just an opportunity to double down on those things, I think we're in a great position to do that. Myself, you know, I'm planning, you know, I did 16 programs last year for the public in addition to my regular work. I have, you know, a bunch of them lined up for this year already, but, you know, one of the important things that we started again last year that hasn't happened since Ray Beecher was alive was, we started a conference of the town historians again. So I had the pleasure up in Wyndham to gather with all of the municipal historians for the county and talk about the work they're doing and just get everybody back and connected. And that's something that we're going to lean on again for this.
I mean, this is a huge celebration.
Right.
I mean, this is
It's a
huge.
big
I
deal. It's a big
don't know if people realize how big it is.
Yeah.
It's
No,
a big deal.
I'd like to get like either a commemorative pin through our tourism office, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, they had, when we had the 400th anniversary, there was T-shirts that were made. I don't know if there's something like that.
Pins last forever.
I don't know, I've got mixed opinions on it. I don't think it should be a touristy thing. I don't think it should be
Well, I
anything
think we're-
focused on,
Celebrating.
And we're celebrating.
well, you're celebrating people who 250 years ago stepped up. So
Yeah,
we'd be a
that's what
free
we're saying.
nation.
Right, that's what we're
That's what we
saying.
want to promote.
That's
And I
why,
think what needs to be promoted is those people.
well, that's what we're saying, the Revolutionary War heroes on the banners.
Right.
You can say that,
And
but
and events that took place.
You know, I think one of the important things to talk about with Greene County and to legislator Villag's point, Greene County was formed in 1800, and the people who formed it are revolutionary veterans. Every cemetery you go to in the county that, you know, predates 1850, from Athens to Hawkett and back, every cemetery is replete with stones that say a soldier of the revolution on it. You know, I could spend a year just posting pictures of those stones. But those guys were all people who served in the Connecticut line, in Massachusetts line. They served in Rhode Island. And they're people who come here. They're people who continue. They have agency in a moment. They decide to participate in a thing. But then they continue to decide on things. They continue to innovate on things. The creation of the county is an extension of a revolutionary concept.
A good number of the Connecticut line, Revolutionary War heroes. After that, they settled the Greene County.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that, the Historical Society has all that information. Connecticut line, a lot of them settled in Greene County.
Yeah, I at Stonebridge Cemetery in Durham, my sixth great grandfather is
My
out there
sixth
in
great
Certain,
grandfather was
Connecticut.
part of it.
Durham.
But educating the community on the dates of when these things happen, I think is like on the back, I just envision like a back of a t-shirt having these dates of when these things happened in New York
Like a
State.
concert tour t-shirt.
Well, like a timeline, you know, teachers teach timelines, you know?
Yeah.
Jonathan, I think you're on the right track, what Sean said about getting to the schools
Right.
and getting these kids to understand about freedom and sacrifice, what it takes. What was gonna happen to these people 250 years ago if they weren't successful? They would have been hung from a tree, their families hung from a tree, and their names were stripped from your books. You know, and that's a huge thing that people need to know about today, especially our kids, because I really don't think they're being taught that.
I think this gets to another great point is, I've worked to try to interface with schools as the county historian, and it is very, very difficult to find ways to integrate extracurricular stuff like this into regular school, curriculum. I think that's one of the.
Should be mandated.
Well, yeah, but I don't have the ability to mandate.
Right.
I'd like to be able, but to that end, this is something that I think the time capsule project is a great opportunity to, sneak this stuff in and create a deliverable that schools are participating in. I like that idea. I've worked in the past with Consider the Source New York, and I've done a couple of teachers' conferences and workshops about primary source work that can be done with materials related to the history of the county. And maybe that's the thing that I'm looking at as one of my projects for this year is to get some of the Bronk family manuscripts brought into the school.
Right.
And to have these primary sources uploaded to Consider the Source so that teachers can build curriculums around it. But the creation of the commission, offers the conduit to streamline all of this because we can have these ideas. We need a channel to pass them.
I kind of agree with you too. I've looked over this commission. I know we did this a couple years ago or started a review and put this together. I think you should streamline it. I see people on there that organizations I don't think that are gonna assist in any way, maybe the libraries and Thomas Cole House. I don't think they're going to serve any purpose for you to really get some factual information to you.
The reason I add them is because first off, as far as the history organizations go, I wanted the Cole House to be involved because they're the one that gets front page of the New York Times once a year. They get a lot of traffic outside of the immediate community, and to have them looped in is that bridge that we're trying to build. Is the reason tourism does all the work they do is to get those bridges, to get people interacting with our story. But the Libraries Council, this was one of the things that I had thought about. If we can't get students at the school, then we get the people who are going to be at the libraries after school. We get the after school programs. We get the librarians looped in on this so that they can tap somebody. They say, "Oh, I didn't know my town historian. I can connect with them now and have this program done." Some of our municipal historians are already really great about that for libraries. Some aren't. It's just a matter of bandwidth and making sure the connections are made. And this is the reason I do this is because these kinds of education initiatives. If we can't mandate it, then we have to broadcast it. It has to be spread out. You got to meet people where they are if you can't make them come in.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to take up so much time.
No, Jonathan, thank you. I would suggest that if you can make it in here next month, make it in here. Because this has got to keep going.
Yeah, so this resolution, what's going to happen here? Is this something?
Well, if we want to make the committee a little bit more nimble, less people, I would probably suggest also maybe some kind of a fundraiser. You rattle off 35,000. Maybe a county contribution to some budget, and we seek the reimbursement from one of the banks, or if the bigger employers ask for $1,000 or something like that. Increase the overall budget to maybe $50,000 after that from the community.
Yeah, and you know, I suggest all these things, but this is, I mean, it is in a sense, it's limited by what we can secure and what the county's comfortable with, you know, paying out. You know, we don't get the historic markers if we don't have the setback. So,
I think we have to look at somehow getting it into the schools, whether it's through a
100%.
whether it's through a flag, whether it's through a banner, whatever it is that we provide to each of the schools that they can display in the building. And getting some, I would like to see some type of timeline, because that's what's taught in schools. Some type of timeline of specific events that have happened in New York or particularly Greene County. But New York is important, because that's the fourth grade and eighth grade curriculum. It's New York State history.
Right.
We'll have Patty prior to the next meeting.
Okay.
We'll have the action item on the April schedule.
All right, I'll wait to hear from you about that. You know, I appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, John.
And thank you for spitballing.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes, thanks, Pat. Before we go into these resolutions, we do have Stella from Create here. If you'd like to say a few words at all? Yes, no? You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Perhaps, I got a question for you.
Perhaps
So,
your
John,
artist could participate in the 250 growth for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's just, yeah, I'm just learning so much today. Because I think I usually am on the first. But yeah, I think, you know, we do re-grant to historical societies, and it's a part of the cultural ecosystem. And as Jonathan was talking, I was thinking about how, you know, yes, there's schools, also the arts are a vehicle for, you know, creating attention and opportunities around engaging local artists. Yeah, definitely can follow up with.
Okay. Absolutely. All hands on deck.
That's really exciting.
All right. Thank you, Stella. Let's go on here. Got our first resolution is amending resolution 459-24, authorizing Greene County Cultural Fund contracts. I need a motion. Lennon, True and Linger. Any discussion on this one? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Second one is establishing the Greene County 250 American Revolution Commission. We want to just go forward with this as it is right now, maybe adjust as we go along.
My suggestion, we can make changes to it.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
We have Rivera Dorrington. Right, Jim? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. The third one is appointing member to the New York State Environmental Conservation Regional Advisory Committee.
Rivera?
We have Lennon and Rivera. Any discussion on this, gentleman?
Poor James. Sorry, James.
I'm just looking to see who it was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Before we close this meeting, I had a few phone calls from people who have been paying some high electric bills and gas bills, and I'm sure everyone's been hearing this as legislators. And I don't know if anybody's done a little digging into it, but I did a little bit, and I hope people are reading their bills closely when they look at that delivery service charge. I know it's gone higher than the actual cost of the power they're actually using. And I think some of the things that people can find is when these utilities go and ask for a rate increase, they have to go before the Public Service Commission. And when they do that, they have to show them their balance sheets. And one of the big things that happened in the last 5 years is the debt that these utilities have incurred by people not paying their electric bills and being able to get away with not paying their electric bills. I believe Central Hudson alone was over $40 million that people have not paid them. And also there's laws in place by the state that allow the homeowners to keep the power on during certain times of the year, that they can't shut the power off for non-payment. Which is, again, when someone else doesn't pay their bill, the rest of us pay. It's just the way life is and the business is. Doesn't matter what business we're in. That's what happens. The other thing on the delivery charge, I was asking around to see if, for some reason, they're paying a set rate on the power they're buying. But it's not. I thought maybe that because of all the renewable energies, that they're actually incorporating that increase into the delivery charge that we see, and that's not the case. But if they have to go and buy energy 300 miles away and bring it here, that increases their delivery charge. Rather than be able to buy power from Athens Generating or say Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant, which are relatively close, they're paying a much higher rate on delivery charge just to get the power here to their transformer locations and then send it out to the homes and businesses. And so I think there's some misconception. I mean, these businesses, these utilities, obviously they're in business to make money. And I know there's been some scuttlebutt across the state and in our lower counties about taking over these companies and making them a government run. I see our senator there was pushing this down in Ulster County, and you know what that's gonna be. That'll be nothing but a disaster. Public authority. Absolute disaster, and everyone knows it. And some old timers who remember back in the 70s when, or 80s, when deregulation occurred, where these power companies had to sell their generation plants. And I believe Maurice Hinchey was the biggest pusher of that. That really is what led to an unstable market in electric production. So I don't know if anybody else has done anything looking at it, but I can certainly tell you that the renewable side of things, where we're required and these companies are required to purchase renewable energies, meet that certain mandate, whether it's the solar, the wind, or hydro, led to a significant increase in cost.
Remember the words of our state leaders: once we go to full renewable energy, there will be cheap, affordable energy for everybody.
I didn't say that.
Unfortunately, you're in the minority, Chris.
Right on, right? It's poor policy in Albany that has caused rate increases.
Yeah.
We brought it out in the debate on a lot of these energy policies that have been brought up in the last 5 or 6 years. And we said that it was gonna end up being the cost of the ratepayers. And our friends on the other side of the aisle said, no, 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 no. Well, it's doing exactly what we said it was going to do. It's only gonna get worse.
That's right.
It's only gonna get worse.
Mike, I can say from personal experience, I use a third party for my energy and to lock in at a lower rate. There were certain companies I could not use because they didn't have enough of their energy generated from renewables. So the company that I had to use had to have 30 or 40% from renewables. I locked in my rate. The delivery charges from Central Hudson is over double what I pay for my electricity.
Sure.
So it's just unbelievable.
So that's the flip side. So you see that delivery charge incorporates all those things as people not paying their electric bills, as having to go 300 miles to bring power to here, to Catskill, New York, or Greene County. as opposed to being able to get it locally, power generation locally.
there.
It's a huge issue. And, you know, these companies have to dance the dance because we have a state that's very vindictive when they're told they're not doing a very good job with their policies. And so they don't want to poke the bear. And it's a damn shame because it leads people to think that, well, just the big bad companies, that's all it is. And it's really not the truth.
Could we put some of this into a letter from the county legislature saying that we're concerned about these delivery charges?
And to the PSC.
Yeah.
I mean,
We did a letter to the Public Service Commission a
Yes,
few
we
years
did.
ago.
The
And I thought it was
PSC is
effective.
appointed by the governor and the legislature.
yeah.
Chairman.
And
the
the
board has-
policy is to be carbon free by 2030. You wanna send a letter? You send that letter in November when you go to the voting booth. That's when you send the letter.
True.
There's nothing that's going to change, you know, and I feel bad for some of these companies because they're getting a bad rap. They're getting blamed for everything. Trust me, I get emails every day about Mid-Hudson. Every day. Hudson, I'm sorry. But I understand where they're coming from. And as we continue to go with renewable energy and completely electrify everything, it's gonna get worse. Just, there's no common sense at the table. And the same old people that believe only in one thing and don't believe in any common sense or want to listen to anybody, just continue to push the same type of policies. And it's just gonna, like I said, it's the people that are paying are the ratepayers. The company's they're not gonna take the hit. They got employees they have to pay, they have mortgages, payments, they have their own energy costs, so the only way that they can, you know, do it is by raising the rates.
We're right in the middle. I mean, a big power line's going right through Greene County,
Right, just tap.
all the way to Canadian Hydro,
We'll tap.
New York City.
Here,
You're
tap.
not gonna see any of it.
We're not gonna see any of that.
Chippy won't do anything for us. The same thing with the solar. They put all this.
But wait until the city residents see what their delivery charge on their bill's gonna be for that. As opposed to just getting it from Indian Point Power, nuclear power that they're decommissioned. Wait till they see
They'll
it.
come up with some legislation.
Especially when they get the tariff.
Right.
Do something different.
No, they'll have everyone else in the state there for it.
You got it.
Because, you know,
There's only one way to avoid that charge. And that's to not have them deliver your power. And I can tell you, my power bill from Central Hudson this month that I just paid was $21.96. That's the monthly fee to be connected to the grid, because I bought my own solar system and I paid for it myself.
I'm moving
I
in
don't
with
pay these
you.
delivery charges.
I'm moving in with you and I'll give you $10.50.
Next month it's $7.70. Not have my delivery charges there.
That's not, but that's not necessarily true, because I have solar as well. But I don't get,
already
that, mine looks like that in the summertime, but in the wintertime, because of the southern exposure that I have,
power that's.
I don't get that $21, because I have to rely on.
My credit just ran
All
out
the sense there.
in January.
People need to hear that.
So it doesn't work for us. I mean, it's great for you, that's not always the best argument for everybody.
No, but
I have solar.
that's the only way to avoid the delivery charge is to not have power delivery.
Not the answer to everybody,
Right.
You can't let everybody do that.
So anyway, I would recommend if you do hear,
Bye, Stella.
if you do hear from people, is to recommend them to go look at the meeting minutes of the PSC, especially when they're requesting these rate increases, because they'll get all the information they need to see actually just how healthy these companies are and if these companies are being, overzealous in their charging.
And, Central Hudson, I believe, was only awarded half of what they asked for last year.
I believe so. So they immediately went back again for another rate increase. They're trying to survive.
Just before you adjourn, I don't know if you're getting ready or not, but before you adjourn, I know Chris come in late.
Yeah.
I'm sure who's here for the, I want to make sure, yeah.
Chris, would you like to say some things?
Really, the only thing I wanted to say was how proud I am of this county legislature for sticking up for the COs. That's why I came here. Unfortunately, I got here a little late. But, you know, it just shows how great this county legislature is. You know, you stick up for the people that work in your communities. You run a good government here, and that was the main reason. It's been a hard fight for these guys. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen, but you know, I think there's 1,000 COs in Kentucky, Athens, somewhere around there, might even be more. I know they appreciate it. I've been over on the line, I think 4 times. Pete's been with me a couple times. As we talked about bad energy policy in Albany, there's a lot of other bad policy in Albany too that has created the problem that these, and listen, it's not just about the COs. You have civilian employees that work there, and you also have the inmates. And I'll be very brief, but since they passed the HALT Act, inmate on inmate violence has increased 169%. Since they passed the HALT Act, inmate on corrections officer or corrections employees has increased 73%. You tell me what's changed. According to some of these votes, there's less people going to jail. So why? Yeah, so why is the violence increasing? The violence is increasing because you took the ability of corrections officers, you took their ability to discipline people that are there for committing crimes. You have eliminated the opportunity for them to adequately discipline people. And when you hear a lot of this violence that's been happening, regardless on what side it is, a lot of it's happening because of the HALT Act. Prior to this, corrections officers were able to protect other inmates. Even if they weren't the one that was creating the problem, they could put them somewhere to keep them protected. It's not the case anymore. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people just think that this is a problem that just arose here in the last couple of weeks. No, this has been going on for 3 or 4 years. And when you hear the governor talk about shutting down another prison, well, it all sounds good on the money savings end, but it really doesn't save any money, and it actually makes the other prisons that are still in operation more dangerous. Because number one, we're short-staffed in our prison system. Number two, now you're taking a place where you might have had 70% of the facility full with incarcerated people. Now you're taking people from another prison and bring them there and bring them at the 100%. And the governor only wants to staff our prisons at 70%. She calls that the new 100. Another issue that goes along with this. This is how important this issue is. No one wants to work there. First of all, they don't feel safe and secure. The other thing, there is no way for retention and recruitment for new officers. Most of these guys that I talked to tonight out here are retired. They're not going back. Are you kidding me? They're lucky they survived. So we had legislation in there that would repeal the HALT Act. And on top of that, we also asked the governor to give those folks a 20-year retirement instead of the 25, hopefully to recruit people that wanted to be in there and bump their salary up a little bit. Again, that's the union's job. But we in the legislature on my side of the aisle, we wrote the legislation because, you know, it's like I said earlier, when you're in a position like this, you talk to the people that do the job. I am by no means a professional or an expert on corrections. But when you talk to the people that do the job, you learn a lot. So that's what needs to happen. The governor needs to smarten up and get some common sense. Or we are going to have a serious, we're gonna have a serious problem at one of these prisons. We've had two incidents, one at Mid-State and one at Marcy. And it's only gonna get worse.
What's the split, Chris, within the assembly? Like, what's the split on?
It's 103 Democrats to 47 Republicans in the Assembly. And let me see, there's 63 in the Senate. I think it's 42-21 or 41-22, something like that. Well, there is no supermajority in the Senate anymore. They won enough seats in this last election, so they no longer have, but in the Assembly, they have a huge supermajority. So.
Chris, is the legislature up there completely separated on party lines on this? Like,
No, I think there's some people on the other side of the aisle that support us. We have a fellow, Democrat Assembly member that's a retired CO. He gets it. But he's one person.
It's not enough.
It's nowhere near enough. Listen, when they put the legislation on the floor, they knew they had the votes to pass it. The speaker doesn't put any legislation on the floor unless he knows he has 76 solid votes. When it comes to the floor, you know it's gonna pass. You can sit there all day and debate the bill as long as you possibly can, bring out all the bad points. The only thing that you can hope and pray is that you bring out enough stuff during the debate, get it on the record that the governor will veto the bill. And we've been successful with that. Unfortunately, we weren't successful with this one because the governor was complicit with the folks in their party to pass the bill. Listen, you've heard me say this, I've heard some of you say this. It's very unfortunate we live in a state that seems to care more about criminals than law-abiding citizens. And one other way you can look at this is the $5 billion out of the budget that was spent that are people that are living in our state illegally, that are from another country, that are illegal immigrants. $5 billion. And we have veterans who shed their blood to make this country free and to keep us free and to protect us, and they're living on the streets of our cities. And we do nothing. We do nothing for them.
It's complete trash.
If it wasn't for the American Legion and the VFW and what little resources over the last 4 or 5 years that we've been able to put together at the state level, they would get absolutely nothing.
Do you have a dollar amount on what they did give to the illegal migrant cause of $5 billion?
Well, you heard the president last night tell you that they spent $54 million just on hotel rooms, and that's money that came from the federal government.
How much of the dollar amount has the state spent in last year's budget for veteran services? You know that?
It was in the millions, but not nowhere near the billions. It was. I don't know off the top of my head because there's money in different areas that goes. Sometimes it goes indirectly to veteran services. We started the new veteran services program. It came out of our conference. Jake Ashby and we have a couple of Vietnam veterans that are in our conference. They actually revamped the veteran services group, but of course they didn't get any credit for it. The other side got credit for it, but the only time they show up to do anything for the veterans is when the cameras are there. To be quite honest, we do have a couple veterans on the other side of the aisle that are good people, but other than that, it's not important. It's not important enough. It's we know for a fact she spent $2.8 billion on the migrant crisis. They gave these people credit cards. You couldn't go to a five-star hotel in New York City because they were full, because they had migrants there, and your tax dollars were paying for them to stay in a five-star hotel.
Well, sanctuary city isn't a thing, in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah. So I mean, that's I was primarily here just to say thank you for you guys sticking up for our CEOs and for the people that, you know, work in Greene County. So, like I said to the gentleman in the newspaper, I don't think people realize, yes, there are a lot of employees that work at the correctional facilities that live in Greene County, but there are also people that live in Schoharie, Ulster, Saratoga, Albany, Warren, and Columbia County that also work in Greene County. So the fact that you folks stick up for them, I think is very important. I hope that some other counties catch on and do the same thing. My biggest prayer is that the governor will get some common sense and nip this thing in the butt before something really, really, really bad happens. You know, there's already, like I said, there's already been two awful, terrible things that have happened, but those of us that were around when I was just a little boy, when they had the thing in Attica, let's pray to God that something like that doesn't happen in one of our prisons. I mean, we had an incident here the other night. 9 of our CEOs were taken to the hospital. They were gassed. We had the incident at Mid-State over the weekend, and then the Marcy incident prior to that. And when I go over there on the line and talk to these fellows, half of them are out from on-the-job injuries to begin with. And there's no staff there to support them. They're just, they're understaffed. So thank you. That's my reason. Just want to say thank you to you folks as always.
Thank you
for doing the right thing.
Thank you for being here.
Now I'm gonna make Matt Rivera buy me dinner.
Yes. I always
Yes.
pick up the tab. Harry going too? No, I can't tonight.
Thanks for putting that on the record here.
Yeah.
What, that I have to pick up dinner?
Yeah. Might include me. I need a motion to close.
Motion to adjourn.
Another fine mess.
Another fine mess you got us into.
All right.
All right.